Clymans,
Here.
Councilmember Swetman,
Present.
and Councilmember Watson.
Here. And hopefully we will have a nice, efficient meeting tonight. I was able to snag 9:30 reservations for my lovely wife for dinner. And if I can do that on a Valentine's Day, I know everybody out there can probably do something.
Like, who's awake at that time?
Okay, it doesn't look like there's any agenda modifications, no announcements, appointments, or presentations, and no public hearings. So we'll get right down to citizen commentary. This is your time, citizens, to actually get before the council, and you will have 5 minutes. If you come forward, please state your name and your address, and then we can get started.
Council Mayor, I'm Dan Decker, past council member, live 201 70th Street, East Monty Lake. I just want to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day, and thank you very much for your hard work.
Well, thank you, Mr. Decker. I appreciate that.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, anybody else for the good of the order? Okay, seeing none, we have no correspondence, so this meeting is moving along very well. So, next we have committee reports. Could Finance Committee, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met today at 5 o'clock upstairs. We had a personnel update. Currently, we have a hiring letter out for a administrative specialist. One, conditional letters out for 3 police officer conditional letters, CSO, a Rule 9 intern, and a mechanic 1. There's a lot of other movings around. Should be seen in your email with that update. And then we had business and action items, which was AB 2335, was authorizing out-of-state travel for training and exercise. That's been moved to full council issues next week. Approval of our meeting notes, and we had an open discussion about the AT&T Tacoma Point lease agreement, and a little bit of a discussion on the water leak, I think that everybody's aware of, and will be discussed at CDC.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor Carter. Chief Jeter, what do the candidates look like as far as the CSO and the officers?
Sure.
Good. We're getting
Very
pretty
good.
close. The CSO is wrapping up. We have one entry level that's completely done, another one that should wrap up this week, and then a lateral officer that is local that we're hoping to wrap up within 2 to 3 weeks. So they're all on track and looking good right now, but that hopefully doesn't change.
Very good. Ever hopeful on that. Okay, let's see. Community Development Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our committee did meet on February 7th. It's the first time we met in quite a while, so we had quite a few items here, and most of them have been forwarded to tonight's agenda. Just go through them as reasonably quickly as possible here, hopefully. First item was a professional services agreement with Parametrics for their MPDES permit support. That's, again, a state requirement kind of thing. It isn't something the city necessarily dreamed up. We obviously do have an MPDES permit. We need to comply with some future state regulations, so we're doing that activity. Moved it forward with recommendation for approval. Authorized. The next item was a resolution for a contract with Simcoe's GC Systems for the clay valve rebuilds. Those are a water system type project. Those usually rebuilt on site. So those folks will run around and have specialty in rebuilding a series of valves. We do some every year. It's like a cycle thing. So you do a certain percentage of them that you get through every year. So you'll see that reoccurring. Recommended that for approval. We also had a resolution for the mayor to sign an agreement with the Swift Compliance Services. It's a software system that will be able to manage, the current cross-connect system that we have for our water system. We have to be able to manage that, demonstrate it to DOE for compliance. That is also aligned with we were doing that before, so it's not new. This is a cloud-based system. It's also the one that Sumner uses. It has to do with the sewer system also, so it tracks your fog, your greases, whatever the first one is. I don't remember. Anyways, coordinated with Sumner, right? So they can look across the systems for that. It's a good deal. Recommended for approval. And also, Mayor signed an agreement with the TK elevator service. It's for this elevator here. This elevator, even though X number of years old, apparently used kind of an older mechanism in the door controller. It is repairable when need be, but however, the parts are no longer available anymore. And if we did have an issue with it, the parts would be, X number of months out or what have you. It wouldn't be a very good situation to have the elevator out for a long period of time in this public building here. No way to get up and down the floors. So they are going to replace that with a more available system on the door mechanism there.
Will
So
they make it faster? This one takes
I don't think it's going to be fast. They're just like,
kind of like our clock up there.
Right, yeah. The clock is next, right? So another item was authorized purchase for the spare pump lift station 21, Panorama West over there. This is a very unfortunate situation. It's recommended that we do this because we don't have a spare pump for that particular lift station. That particular lift station is designed very differently than most of our other ones are because we do have spares for a lot of our other ones are. That one has a tremendous lift involved in getting it. We actually pump the sewer way up the hill and then drop it back down again because of the way that's all designed out there. That's kind of unfortunate the way that got put together, but we definitely need a spare pump. You can imagine what goes on if you don't have a pump and you need one for the sewer system. Traffic impact fee study, that one was recommended for approval. Also is placed on the open agenda here, so we can comment more on that when we get to it here. Also, resolution for SJC for mobility element. Several items here for a comp plan, and that's part of your comp plan that's coming up. Elements that needed to be in there. Also, a contract with LDC for comp plan updates. And also resolution for PRR for public participation study and everything that's state requirements. Some of these, again, these are like state requirements. We discuss them at city council committee level. They're not something that the staff necessarily dreamed up. They're trying to meet state requirements. So some of these things are clearly like, does this really apply to Bonnie Lake? And it's not necessarily, but again, a state requirement, you got to do it. Also, this is something, we could choose or not do. The next one was Angeline of Veterans Memorial Drive intersection control evaluation report. One of those ICE reports again. That's the intersection. It's right down the bottom of the hill here. We'll call it Tom's Pathway down there, right? That's a very busy intersection. It's not signalized or it doesn't have any kind of traffic control like a roundabout or whatever it is.
Walk down that road too.
Yep. We need to do a study to see what can be done down there to demonstrate, what we want to put in that area. That was recommended for approval. Also, next item was amendments to the Bonnie Lake Municipal Code to establish a fee for third-party consultant review. That was recommended for approval. It's on the full council agenda. I'll touch on that when we get down to there. And then, of course, we have the ever-ending, and for everyone that has a boat launch in the area, parking issues that we need to come up with. And I think I need to get together with some of the interested council members at committee level or what have you to iron out what we're going to do. Because, of course, this year we kind of are in the same situation still. We don't have the excess parking available. We do have some, but we don't have the ultimate solution. So we've got to hammer that one out pretty soon. Thanks, Chief, for showing up and helping us out with that. I know that could be a major issue there. And those were items that evening.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Swatman. You were indeed busy. But I think it's timely to give Mr. Vodopich a compliment for being able to very smoothly explain that issue to the Rotarians this afternoon when they asked about it. And that would be the boat launch that they were asking about. Yeah. Okay, Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Safety met tonight. We had an update from Fire. The Edgewood location is moving in mid-April. The Bonnie Lake location is in progress and ahead of schedule. They have their fall class of 7 graduates, should be graduating soon, and they have 12 more starting the academy shortly after that. East Pierce Fire and Rescue did join with Central Pierce, West Pierce, Ording, and Graham to create this Pierce County Fire Coalition for expanded training. Instead of having just 3 East Pierce officers training their firefighters, they have now 21 trained personnel training all 5 of these different jurisdictions. So nice. Expanded training, it's all going to be taking place at Central Pierce, but a great coalition that will help get interlocal and mutual aid stuff figured out, as well as more cross-training for all agencies. We had an update from police. We had a full full year update report, calls for service are up 26% in 22 over 21. Like Deputy Mayor Carter mentioned, we have a CSO candidate and 2 in background right now for officers. There has been an increase in stolen vehicles for Hyundai and Kia. City of Seattle has reached out and I think sued them, and as a result, Kia and Hyundai are sending out anywhere between 60 and 80, kind of 160 each.
I just bought
Oh,
a
80
Hyundai.
apiece. Okay.
The newer ones are not applicable to a certain year.
Okay.
Yeah, so some wheel
Mine's
locks,
electric anyway.
some wheel locks for the police department to hand out to help lower crime on that or lower theft.
Nice.
The police department did just add a police blotter that started up yesterday. So check Facebook for that. Some interesting things that are going on are being posted there. We do currently have a survey for our school zones going on right now for a speed cameras in school zones. So that's underway right now, just a survey to determine if that's something we want to move forward with in the future.
Do we know when that will be finished? Yeah, survey.
It's at Bonnie Lake High School this week on 104th. It was in Bonnie Lake Elementary on Locust last week. There's 3 more approaches they need to do, so I would say probably 3 to 4 weeks total, and then they'll get back to us with the results.
Yeah, I know we have citizens that are very interested in that, so glad to hear it.
We did receive a grant from the, I think it was from the Chiefs Association for a wellness grant for our police equipment or gym equipment for the police department. So with Chuck vacating, they have now turned his office back into a gym. So get some workouts in. So it's been a great investment for the officers for safety, so they don't have to take off their duty gear and leave it in a public locker at a local gym.
Yes.
But it keeps them close as well. We did have a report which was presented in our packets for the emergency management. We did get a prosecutor's report. So far, we had 366 hearings, 34 arraignments, and 1 trial. We do have a new public defender that recently started, and then we did install prosecutor by Caprill. Did I say that right?
Harpel.
Harpel.
It's called PBK.
Okay, and it's a new software for prosecution support. Tonight on your consent agenda, our business resolutions were 3126 and 3129, authorizing out-of-state travel for a couple of our police officers. And we discussed some future technology advances for courts in the way of a new projector up here and possibly some other options should that projector not get the clarity that we're looking for trial. We talked about possibly reaching out to PSC about putting up some bollards around the electrical box by the AM/PM, since that controls about 90% of our power in the city, and it's 4 feet off of a busy highway. And we approved our minutes. That was it, sir.
Right. Thank you, Councilmember Evans. Sounds like y'all were busy as well. I can tell you that you're going to like the PBK software. It integrates really well with Carpel, the body-worn cameras. So that's good. All right. So let's move on. I don't see any other reports. We now have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Second.
All right. Any discussion before we vote? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the consent agenda for February 14th, 2023 for the city of Bonnie Lake has been adopted. Okay, we do have community development issues. Item A, Madam Clerk.
This is AB 2324, ordinance D 2324. The council motion would be to authorize amendments to Bonnie Lake Municipal Code 3.68.020 to establish a fee for third-party consultant review.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Councilmember Swami.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. As mentioned, it's a very good tool I think that the administration is coming up with to use here, because if you know the scenario where certain builders may have the necessity to have specialized inspections for structures that we don't have the internal knowledge to be able to properly, look at their engineering or just issues where there may be too many that come in at the same time. They can work with kind of surging the capabilities of doing permitting. It does have the nuance of being able to charge, the applicant for those fees. So, we discussed at the committee level, and we do recommend it for approval, but, I recognize that it can be kind of a sticky wicket. But again, the staff will hopefully manage it well. It's a great tool for them to have, but if it comes back and, some year the council may look at it again and say, well, maybe we don't need to be doing that or what have you. But just, we've kind of done this kind of thing before. So, yeah.
Any further discussion? All right, are we ready for a vote? Okay, for AB 2324, ordinance D 2324, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bonnie Lake, Pierce County, Washington, amendments to Bonnie Lake Municipal Code 3.68.020 to establish a fee for third-party consultant reviews. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, looks like it was unanimous approval on that. Let's move to item B. Madam Clerk.
This is AB 2318, Resolution 3117. The council motion would be to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with FCS Group to prepare a traffic impact fee rate study.
So moved. Second.
Do we have any discussion? Councilmember Swatman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, again, out of committee there, recommended for approval, of course. Traffic impact fee study, basis for gathering data, actual real world data out there. If people don't know, so we can actually have something to base our impact fees on. There will be lots of issues that they look at in there. It's my understanding they'll be looking at, outside entities too, and kind of trying to figure out, what. Because I would imagine if the public is thinking, well, wait a minute, a lot of the traffic in Bonnie Lake is outside the city. How are you going to deal with that? That's a complete kind of separate thing, but it does kind of meld with the study, being able to recognize that, there are a lot of external entities that are putting traffic on the streets of Bonnie Lake that you just can't simply charge those folks for. But most importantly, of course, it'll examine things like the different bypasses or new roadways that we can build, 192nd possibly, and do kind of a value engineering kind of scenario on that where it's like, oh, yes, if you put that leg in there, which would be that Walmart thing to go up and over by the high school, if you spend X number of millions of dollars on that, is that going to, get you anything? If it diverts 2% of your traffic, you're spending $5 million on that. Maybe you should be spending your money someplace else. So be interesting to see the data when it comes back. I'd encourage everybody and the public especially to take a close look at that, get good comments in from experts that know about this stuff. So recommend it for approval again. Thank you.
That's a point well taken as well. All right, any further discussion on what Councilmember Swatman just discussed? All right. Deputy Mayor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question as to what the length is on this. When will it be coming back? When do they think they'll have it done? I guess we know.
It'd be next year.
Next year.
Yeah, this contract here, and then the 4 or 5 contracts that were on the consent agenda were all for the comprehensive plan update. So it's kind of a integrated effort. So we're going to go out and model everything, figure out where all the traffic is, figure out what all the project costs are, and then FCS Group would run the numbers. So it would probably be early next year, summertime next year, that we're coming back with kind of an initial recommendation on what the traffic impact fee would be. And then the council always has the right to set the fee wherever, but we'll come back with a recommendation based on the projects that are recommended to be constructed to handle future growth of the next 20 years.
Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion on the matter? All right, ready to take it to a vote? Okay, so AB 2318, Resolution 3117, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bonnie Lake, Pierce County, Washington, authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with FCS Group to prepare a traffic impact fee rate study. All in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. This has been adopted unanimously as well. All right, we have no executive or closed session. Seeing no more business, we are adjourned for the evening. Tried to make it under 20 minutes and missed it by 3 seconds. Oh, well.